So we need to get this elephant in the room out of the way before we start anything.
Xenu?
Not Xenu. We have to
Ah,
talk about why we're not talking about Lana Parrilla threatening somebody with a shotgun and getting a restraining order against them.
wait, she did what?
Okay, so here's the tea. There was somebody who, for several nights, came up to Lana Parilla's house. The first night, I believe they were pounding on the door asking for like ridiculous quantities of money, and then they started making these wild accusations against her the following night or nights. Uh, Basically like making these horrible claims like she murdered a bunch of children and stuff like that. So needless to say, Lana was pretty freaked out by this, and she told the person to get off her property, and she had a shotgun on her. Like,
Oh my
get the
god.
fuck out of here. Now, here is the reason why I'm not going to dwell on this and while we're not making an entire episode about this. The first reason being that we are still very much focused on Pride and Black Lives Matter,
Mm-hmm.
and we are still donating to Sisters PGH,
Yep.
which again is finding permanent housing for trans and non-binary people in the Pittsburgh area. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
organization. You can donate to them directly at sisterspgh.org. I will also put a link in the description. This is something that we still want to focus on. So sensationalist news like this, no matter how it affects our little sphere of things, we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
take away too much time from the people who really need our help. The
Yeah.
second reason why I do not want to dwell on this is because I know many people who have had to file restraining orders. It is not a nice process.
Mm-hmm.
People are constantly gaslighting you, not just friends or relatives of the person you're filing against it for, but your own friends and family.
Yeah.
Um, the people who are doing the paperwork with you have to ask you questions that will make you feel gaslit. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a nice experience. And on top of all of that kind of shame that comes with it, um, since we do in fact believe in Black Lives Matter here, uh, part of the whole reform has to do with how we handle situations like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a situation where the less police involvement there is, the better for everybody involved,
Mm-hmm.
including the person who harassed Lana. Could have really benefited from a lot of different social organizations helping them so
Mm.
that they wouldn't feel compelled to do something like that. And the third reason why I am not going to dwell on it for too long is because if this is going to make you want to not watch Once Upon a Time anymore, I really hate to tell you this, but there's only reruns available. And if you don't even want to give it the traffic on Netflix, you could just listen to us boobs talk about it.
Why wouldn't you want to watch it? Lana Parrilla is living her own home invasion life right now. Like, she's starring in her own movie.
Yeah.
And,
And
like, good on her. Like, I'm not a gun person, like, at all. You know
mhm,
that, know this.
yeah.
I know this. Anyone who knows me knows this. But good on her on refusing to be a victim of that shit. And, good luck with the whole process because there is, especially when women file restraining orders and try to do anything where they're a victim of harassment or assault, there's a lot of victim blaming bullshit that goes on.
Yes.
So, what did you do to provoke it? Might be a question she's going to be asked. And
Mhm.
I'm sorry, and you are our queen. And that
Mhm.
just solidified the fact that I'm buying one of her shirts now.
And another thing that I'll point out too, because I was tagged not only from Heap's Facebook page, but also my personal Facebook page. People tagged
Mm-hmm.
me in the article, and the one that people tagged me in the most was the TMZ article,
Mm-hmm.
which thank you for thinking of us, but like don't tag me in shit articles.
I mean,
Please
you can
don't.
tag me. I'm bored most of the time.
Yeah, you
So,
can tag Amanda. Don't tag me. No. I
yeah.
don't. Eh, you know what? People have to start somewhere, but whenever the text after the headline is like, "You've seen her as the evil queen before, now get a load of this story." Like, no, fuck off.
Yeah,
Fuck all the
TMZ
way
is pretty
off.
garbage.
Yeah. So we had to get this out of the way because we are not going to talk about a story where a woman is probably going to get a lot of victim blaming on her end,
Hmm.
and we're not going to twist it around to make this a story about Lana Parrilla attempting murder. So instead, we're going to
Can
talk
we
about an
just
episode where Lana Parrilla attempts murder.
haha? Can we just stand Lana Parrilla though? Can we just decide right here, right now we're standing her? Because I kind
Yeah,
of
we're
stand
standing.
her.
We're standing.
And also, she's selling shirts that say "Keep It Regal." I just found out about this today.
Hmm.
She has shirts that say "Keep It Regal" and hats and everything. And then for Pride, she has one that has a crown on it that says "Keep It Equal" in rainbow letters.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And we're finding it really hard not to just buy one. I don't need another shirt, but on the other hand, it's Lana Parrilla.
Yep. Well,
Other than the LP news.
I'm still Sam Logston, and I got done visiting my stepkid last week, which was really
Where
nice.
did you attempt to kill this child, or put her
No,
into a dreamlike, or put them into a dreamlike sleep?
no.
Okay. Well,
I
I'm
think
a man.
the worst thing that happened was we all got a lot of bug bites from going to a
Oh.
drive-in movie theater and watching Jurassic Park. That was as bad as it got.
Do 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 do. Um, I'm
Blooms
uh
fall.
I'm Amanda Pierce, and today I watched a podcast about internalized fat shaming while eating chocolate cake. So that's the level I'm at. Get on it.
Toot toot.
Yeah, damn straight. It was a pretty triggering video from
Ugh.
Psychology in Seattle, and in response to triggering some uh, weight issues that I have with my life, I am like, you know what? I'm gonna eat chocolate cake and not feel bad about it.
Um, to listen to more about our mental and physical trauma, you can tune in to the next episode of Dreadful Pennies, which should be airing sometime next week.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Buckle up, Buttercup.
It was my idea, so I should.
Well, technically, it was our combined idea, and Patreon voted for it.
I might be squirting my cat with some saline solution at his butt because
I
he keeps
need to
on
squirt
scratching
my
me.
cat with saline solution. He's meowing. I don't know. Could you hear him?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God. Give me 1 second.
It's
You know
okay.
what? Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit this goddamn video. That's
No,
fine.
just
I'll
leave
put
it
your
in. It's
laughing.
fine. It's a
Keep it in.
cat.
Keep it in. That's fine.
Keep
This
it
is
all
like
in.
your not Dennis moment.
This is gold. You know what this is? Solid podcast gold. Do 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 do. Life finds a way.
What did it sound like?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Okay. So this is the
I'm
penultimate episode of Once Upon a Time.
yeah.
There's a lot of things that happened that we haven't seen before, but it was
Mhm.
all stuff that we kind of already knew happened as far as the flashback portion goes. In Storybrooke, um, I'm trying to.
It's pretty much your prototypical penultimate series finale episode in that it is setting up for the series finale and not much else.
Yes.
They're like, shit, we got 22 episodes and we got to fill this one out, but we can't do much of anything because we're going to save everything for the next episode.
Oh
And
yeah. I made the mistake of watching them back to back,
oh, I
and it's
watched
like,
the start of this one at the end of the last episode, so
okay.
that's
So
just the first scene with Regina is the only thing I caught.
um so yeah, she's having a dream, Regina is, that the town is turning against her and they know she's the evil queen,
Is
not
she
because of
eating like
Forrest or
raw
anything.
meat at the beginning of it?
Yeah, like her and Henry are at the dinner table and they're eating like strips of like thin beef or something like that. Like it
It
almost looks
looks
like the kind
raw.
of thing that's in like pho. almost.
Yeah, it reminded me of like, when you would get like that really thinly cut steak for like a steak salad or a Philly
Yeah,
cheesesteak,
yeah.
but like raw.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
It was
Like the
icky.
kind of beef that you put into a faux pot and it just like cooks in the broth from being so
Mm.
thin,
I just
but
ate
raw.
dinner. Don't make me hungry again.
Mm. So yeah,
Oh, I got
it's
my pride
clearly a
cup.
weirdly set up dream, and she wakes up and she checks on Henry, and when you can only see a lump in the bed and you're worried that your kid is gone, you don't check the lump. You just assume your kid is there. We as the audience remember though that Henry was abducted at the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm. By
Well,
Emma
the end
doing
of
a
the last
crime.
episode. Um, and we cut to that, and like we said before, this gets resolved in like 3 minutes.
2 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, where Henry almost drives them off a cliff, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Listen, you can't do this because I'm a crazy kid, and I believe in this thing, and like the town needs you." And like the editing in this episode is a little bit choppy because somehow Emma goes home.
Mm-hmm.
Regina is not aware that Henry tried to leave. And it was
Mm-hmm.
never established that like Emma dropped him off safely.
Yeah.
Without her knowing. That would have been an interesting thing to see. But no, it's the penultimate episode, so they had just kind of had to like cut everything in there as fast as possible.
And also, time is a weird thing because Regina goes out and checks her apples during the
Yeah.
day. And then I'm assuming the same night, Emma gets a really big mom speech from Mary Margaret. Like,
Yeah, a good mom speech, actually.
it is a speech that I swear to God, my mom has almost said verbatim.
Yes.
It's basically a "what do you think you're doing" speech.
Yes. But more importantly, it's this is your personality flaw, and this is a thing you're doing that contradicts your personality flaw.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, like she actually says regressing.
Yes.
Which I'm like, oh, you've been to 2 therapy sessions and learned some terms. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Mom.
Couldn't help David very much.
Like no. But Regina's apples are rotting, and she goes to confront Gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wrote in my notes, good Rumple quips. Hi, Jane. Because she goes up to Rumple and she's like, my apples are rotting. Why are my apples rotting? And he's like, bad fertilizer?
Yes. That was a good joke.
And I'm like, hi, Jane. That's literally what I thought. I forgot she wrote this episode. I knew she wrote one between the last one she wrote.
You mean
end,
Jen?
Jane. Jane Espenson.
It's Jane?
It's Jane.
It's Jane? For some reason I thought it was Jen.
I'm pretty sure. Let me
Yeah, Wikipedia that real quick.
Yep, Jane Espenson.
Jane Espenson. Okay. There's too many E's. There's too many E's that I just like inserted more in.
But we learned kind of 2 things from the scene. Rumple refuses to help her.
Mm-hmm.
But we learned kind of 2 things from this scene. If Regina kills Emma, the curse is broken anyway.
Yes.
And it is that way because Rumple made it that way.
Yes.
Gold made it that way. Rumple. That's my nickname for him now.
Rumps.
Rumplemints.
Mm-hmm.
Rumple quips. Hi,
Stilts
Jane.
Daddy.
But yeah, so Rumple made it that way. That if Regina kills Emma, then the curse will be broken. And Rumple's planning a trip.
Yes.
He wants the curse to be broken for some reason.
I mean, we can kind of figure out what it is just from the last episode.
Yeah, from
where
context.
he wants to probably look for his son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's And again, I'm not even going into like future spoiler seasons and stuff like that. That's just
Nah.
like literally what we've been shown in the previous episodes, and just
Mhm.
that's what he would probably want to do.
So Regina tries to find help from. Let's go through Storybrooke until we have to not go through Storybrooke, because not much happens in the Fantasyland.
Yeah, actually, you know what? We can go through Storybrooke without going into Fantasyland,
Except for when she gets the apple,
but
I'd
we can
say.
but we can come back to that in the fantasy world and
Okay.
progress naturally.
So Regina needs help from someone who's not Rumple. So who does she go to?
She goes to Jefferson
Yes, she does, and she leaves a card with a white rabbit on it on his daughter's bicycle.
because she knows that he still cares about her and is, looking after her from afar, which
Yeah.
it's like that's two levels of creep right there, where it's like, I mean, like, from, his whole thing that he loves his daughter and cares about her very much. And
Mhm.
from the story standpoint, it's not creepy. But without the fairy tale bit, it's like, oh my God, this guy is stalking a little girl.
Shouldn't, in retrospect, if Emma just thinks Jefferson is crazy, shouldn't she have arrested him? Because he's definitely, like, watching children.
I think the reason why she didn't is because
Oh, he disappeared.
he disappeared, but then even if she went back to try to find him, he would have basically ratted Mary Margaret out for being an escaped
Okay.
convict.
And I guess he
Why
didn't
do
really
I remember
do
that? Oh my God,
anything.
why do I care about the show enough to remember that?
I guess he didn't really do anything. I guess it's not a
Threaded.
crime to watch children in a playground.
We're going to we're glossing over it, not because we don't care, but because it'll just make it easier for me to say it's creepier knowing that Regina knows that.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's the one who did it, so she could probably safely assume. What? Well, who cares?
It's still like a thing.
So
Like, did you
Regina
ever
has a
see?
hat.
Yeah, Regina has Jefferson's hat, and she's like, I need you to make this work. And they go to her ancient sacred crypt of Storybrooke.
Mm-hmm. And she has
And
to put her engagement ring from David Bowie in it
yeah,
to
which
make the
is,
magic work.
it's sad, but it's still not enough for them to actually step inside the hat like they did before. And he says, I can probably reach into the hat and get what you want. What is it?
Something
And she
small.
says, something small. And she says, an apple. Now he gets the apple, and we'll come back to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on.
Yes. So Emma is, if I remember the next scene, I mean, she gets her mom lecture from Mary Margaret,
Yes.
but then she is talking to Jiminy. What the fuck? Archie.
Archie.
I remember his name. You don't gotta
She
tell
does
me.
actually, and this is another like good Jane moment of writing
Mm-hmm.
with her and Archie. I don't hate Archie. I don't.
I like
I
the
feel like,
actor well enough.
yeah, like he's very good at it, and I know that like the episode 4 of Once Upon a Time, where we lost our episode, it was a
Mm-hmm.
bit on the sappy side, but like
Mm-hmm.
he has like some really good points in there,
Mm-hmm.
like
But
him and
generally, he's a pretty remarkably bad therapist, as someone who's been in a lot of therapy.
yeah.
Like, he's an interesting enough character, but he's a pretty bad therapist.
It's
Because
almost like somebody who really needs therapy wrote in his memories to be a therapist.
yeah, he yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. Someone who, yeah, oh God, that's holy shit. Holy shit. Does that make everything in this make sense? It's like a woman who's
Yes.
a person who's never been to an actual cafe made a cafe, and that's Granny's.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. How
It's
would
like,
the queen know what the plebes want
oh
in
my
a world
God.
without magic, no less?
Oh my God.
Jen, you fucking or Jane, you fucking genius.
Oh my God. Anyway, he says to Emma that something that actually made me kind of internally rage and kind of yell at the screen for a second
Yeah.
is when Jiminy Archie says oh, maybe, basically he says maybe feeding into Henry's delusions was a bad idea.
And it was his idea.
Yeah, and he does say that. He's like, well, you know, my idea about feeding into his delusions doesn't seem to be working. And I'm like, yeah, duh. You fucking think. You fucking think for 1 second feeding into a child who thinks he's living in a fairy tale book imagined world. Don't feed into people's delusions. It's not how you get them out of it.
No, and it's like because I know somebody like Tim is watching. There are cases where feeding into people's delusions is therapeutic for them, but the amount of atmospheric attention to detail and reduction of stressors that need to go into that is a lot of work for an entire family who's, dealing with people going through something like that. And there's cases where I think it's in India where it's a much more common practice, like not India, the whole country, but like certain parts of it where this is practiced. But it's literally like these are people who they live together in very large groups and like sort of everybody kind of has to like work together. And it's a lot easier to be like, oh, the gods are talking to you. What did they say? That's really nice. Can you please help me with my chores now? Like, it has to be like something like that.
Well, I mean, that's
Not this.
that's like a belief system. That's like saying feeding into praying to God makes things work. Like feeding into Christianity is feeding into a delusion. Like you could argue that, but
I'm talking about specific cases of schizophrenia, though. Like there was like a whole like longitudinal study done on it. But no, you're absolutely right too. That and anything like that can be treated as either delusion or faith, and it's really murky. And I think that's almost what they wanted to do with the Jiminy Cricket Jesus Christ allegory of Once Upon a Time here. But it's still a bit of a rager. Especially since he follows this up with Emma asking him about like legal action to be in Henry's life and all the stuff that Regina did. And he's like, you don't have any proof.
Yeah. And he also, one of the things that could be good, could be bad, is he says Henry's life is not necessarily better since Emma got here.
That's true, because he also says, like, he
skipped school, he stole credit cards. Yeah.
Like, he was very objective about it.
Yeah.
And it's neither good nor bad, but he's somebody who tries to be impartial. And she was like, do you think Regina would ever hurt him? And he's like, no, other people, yes, but not Henry.
Yeah, but he's doing that thing that therapists shouldn't do, which is take hard lines against things. Like, and don't at me. If anybody is listening who is like, therapist, blah, 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 don't. I'm right about everything all the time. If you have an issue with that, yell at Sam.
And this is why Amanda isn't a therapist.
No, I've just been to a lot of therapy. A lot of therapy. But they aren't supposed to say, oh, this is good and this is bad. They're supposed to help you think, and process things. But I know he's not seeing her in a professional capacity.
No, this is like very much a like a
layperson.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Layperson?
No, like
casual.
Very casual, because I mean, at this point, he went to Mary Margaret's congratulations for not being a murderer party. So I feel like they're probably closer to being friends at this point, but
I guess it's a little town, a quiet village.
Every day like the one before, because that goddamn clock won't work.
Damn clock. But long story short, Emma decides to leave, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Regina gets the apple, bakes it into a delicious looking turnover.
It was a great montage.
I said, ooh, sinister British Bake Off.
Oh, yeah. Paul Hollywood would definitely, first off, Paul Hollywood would live after eating this turnover.
Lana Parrilla does not have a soggy bottom.
No.
It was a good bake. She might have gotten Star Baker. Like,
she would have gone the Paul Hollywood handshake.
She got a Death Star Baker. Because she's evil.
I think Mary Berry probably, I think Mary Berry could have survived it.
I think that's. I don't want to say anything against poor Mary Berry because I do love her, but I think a stiff wind might be the end of Mary Berry.
You're probably right, but she would just she would have the decency to be like, it's a real shame this is the last turnover I eat because it's just a little too dry, and then die.
And then a stiff wind comes and she flies away like Mary Poppins. I'm drinking tequila and juice out of a Pride cup. So once again, get on my level.
I'm drinking a spiked lemonade that is very, very pink, and it's very it's wonderful. It's my friend. This is my little Amanda in the bottle.
It's a Starbucks Pride cup with tequila in it, which is, I think, the best metaphor for my life.
It's pride. Don't look inside. I swear it's pride.
It's pride.
It's sadness.
But Emma gets the turnover, tells Henry she's leaving.
Well, wait. No. Back it up. There's the montage. At
Evil
the end
British
of the
Bake Off. Yes.
British Bake Off happens. Emma comes in to talk to Regina, and what essentially happens, while Regina is wearing some really awesome high-waisted pants, they strike a deal about Emma leaving town, but with certain visiting rights. And because Lana Parrilla is just sorry, I shouldn't say Lana Parrilla, because now I feel bad with the whole attempted murder thing. But Regina...
Attempted murder of her?
Yes.
Okay.
As my aforementioned joke says, I do not want to make Lana Parrilla's accusations turn into accusations for attempted murder while we are talking about her character attempting murder.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about her attempting murder in real life, like Lana Parrilla.
No, she did not attempt murder in real life. She was a boss.
She, at the very least, was a victim of harassment, if not attempted murder. So.
Yeah. Or attempted worse, really. So, in order for her to take the turnover, she's just basically like, oh yeah, we can work out a deal. You can get
here's one for the road.
Yeah. It's an old recipe.
It's an oldie but a goodie. And she also says, how am I going to get her to eat my forbidden fruit? And I'm like, ooh.
That's a little gay.
It's Pride Month. It's kind of gay.
Yeah. It's cheers.
I'm just gonna say, Lana, you can do better.
You can do a lot better.
You can marry me.
For the price you get for one blonde, you can have, me
and Sam.
Yeah. We're that cheap. We're a duo.
In real life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a twofer.
We're an ambiguously gay duo.
We'll have the split custody of Lana Parrilla.
And the banana splits.
I can't do a banana split. But she gets the turnover, tells Henry, hey, I can still see you, but it just can't be every day. I'm leaving. Henry notices the apple turnover and is like, evil queen, apple turnover, evil apple turnover. That's the exact equal signs in his head.
And he does the one thing that I actually really liked in this entire season. He
takes a bite of it and dies. Yay!
But it's like the most Henry thing, where he's just like, I'm really sorry, but you made me do this, and then he bit into it.
Yeah, he's like, I believe in you so much that you're the hero, and in this delusion that I have that just happens to be real, that I'm gonna eat this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Emma's like, do you want ice cream with that? And then he just falls to the ground, and the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
Yay! So there's no
So
more Henry in this show, right? Because he died.
absolutely. I mean, like,
He
it's the penultimate
died.
episode, folks.
He died.
Um,
He's gone. No more Henry. The writers finally listened. Jane did us a solid. This is the world I'm living in until next week.
Basically, Amanda, I do have uh yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it kind
Mm-hmm.
of does because we can talk about it the next episode if you
Uh-huh.
want.
Okay.
Should we talk about August?
Oh, he's turning into wood. You have
Yeah,
wood
it's
on him
getting
now.
worse.
He basically told Henry he's on his own.
Yeah,
And now
it's like,
Henry's dead, so who's gonna save the world now?
well, Henry wasn't the one prophesized to save Storybrooke.
The answer is no one saves the world. Lana Parrilla and Robert Carlyle ruled the world and hailed to the chief. Do 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 do. That's the world I'm living in until we record next.
Yeah, until next time, I give this a solid, like,
Evil
for good,
wins.
um 4 with a bite.
We have to do the Fantasyland though still.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Sam forgot about the other half of the episode.
I did because it's easy to forget about. Well, you know what?
How dare
I
you
figured out.
forget?
It's not 4 with a bite, it's a solid 4, and I'll tell you why. There is a lot of Charming and Snow White, and not once did we get outside of the thing. Oh, what is it? The like the prologue to the beginning of the episode,
Mm-hmm.
which if you're binging on Netflix, you might miss anyway.
Yeah, I did.
But besides the prologue, not once in the episode do we have a I will find you, I will always find you.
Son of a bitch. But
we have
we
to
do get some
unpin.
quips, and we
We get
also
some
get
good
Hannibal Fleeter back.
Mm-hmm.
Hannibal Fleeter wants to behead Prince Charming. Lana Parrilla is like, nope, I want to do something worse to him. This is after he gets caught.
Mm-hmm.
Lana Parrilla is wearing high-waisted leather leggings and a red shirt cape floor-length thing that is fabulous. And
I was gonna
5
say,
flame.
as a non-binary person, that is my aesthetic that I strive for on a regular basis, and I will never come close to achieving.
5 flames. 5 out of 5. Good,
Oh,
good look.
I give it a 6.
You could. I would hold back because of the hair.
That's
the hair
fair.
was a little bit mid 2000s for me.
I
It was a
just
little
kind
bit
of
spiky
inserted
up
my
there.
own face.
And what else? Oh, she locks him in a dungeon,
Mm-hmm.
and Snow White and Granny, Red, dwarves, fairies all go
Oh
to
my
break
god,
him
I
out.
just remembered the fairies.
Yeah.
The flight of the fairies coming in to save the day with their wings all buzzing is the most annoying thing.
I was gonna make a joke about fairies, but nah,
No,
I'm gonna pass. I was
don't.
gonna yeah, no. Not in
Yeah.
this environment, not today.
Nah, no, no. As a flaming fairy myself, I appreciate the pass.
Yeah, I thought it and it made me laugh, but I don't think it would make anyone else very happy. But
Well,
yeah, the
also
fairies sound like locusts
they do.
or
They
bees.
sound like a plague.
And they pitch up their voices, so it's really
It's
annoying.
bad. It's so
Um,
bad.
There's one good line on this where Grumpy says to Red Riding Hood, Red, you got someone on your chin. She
And
has
it's
blood on her
blood.
chin and she wipes it off. I'm like, okay. So they break into the thing, High Courtyard, the same courtyard that was in the start of this episode, and in this scene, and in every scene where they need a courtyard in the Fantasyland.
They
And I
have
said,
one courtyard and they have one well.
I said, for season 2, can we afford a new courtyard?
Oh,
Please,
honey.
just a second one.
Oh, honey.
It's the same. They just add hay.
It's so bad.
It's an unfortunate. So Snow goes into the dungeon, thinks she sees Prince Charming. It's a mirror. They have like a tender moment thing through the mirror. Then Regina cuts in and says a quip.
It's so good.
She said, I had to interrupt you. Go ahead.
But I don't want to clean tongue marks off of my mirror.
Yeah, good job, Regina.
That was delivered so perfectly.
Regina says, let's have a parlay.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Snow says, where do you want to meet? And Regina says, where it all began. Regina has a second outfit for the second half of this episode.
And it's a bisexual one.
It's a purple number that's like a corset with a purple skirt.
Mm-hmm.
And high kind of like that fan, I forget the name of it, but it's like that fan collar that's behind the head. Was like think
the lizard mating collar.
Yeah, think Elizabeth I. Like that kind of collar.
An Elizabethan collar, yes.
And kind of spiky updo. And I was like, I'm getting very Ursula vibes off of this.
It was very purple, but if you looked close enough, there was also like pinks and blues in the outfit. So like that was my first thing. I was like, that's a bi outfit.
I said that's also a 5. And I appreciate the Ursula vibes. And the eyeshadow that you really see in the scene.
Oh, you do. It's like
on the snow.
It's like to the temple.
It's like a really severe red cat eye, and I love it. I want it, and I think I might do it tomorrow. Because I do my makeup for me now.
Yeah, but I don't do my makeup or my wardrobe for anybody else.
No, I'm wearing pajama pants and a sports.
So we need to kind of talk about the whole parlay, because even though everybody told Snow it's a trap, Snow goes anyway. And there's a thing in here.
Warn her it's a trap.
There's a thing in here, and I want you to try to like follow me up on this, okay?
Okay.
So they meet Regina. She meets Regina at the place where it all happened.
Okay.
And they're at the stable, and Snow's like, well, it's exactly what I remember. And Regina's like, well, not exactly. And they come across like this really shitty looking grave with like a pink chalk drawn heart on it. Like, it's a really poor looking set design. They could have done something different. But it was Daniel's grave. And Regina explains to Snow that your lie killed my fiance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know this is the audience, but somehow this is the first time Snow is hearing this.
Well, she said in the flashback that it wasn't true love, that she thought it was true love, but it wasn't with Daniel.
Yeah, no. When she was a child, yes. But think back to some of the other flashbacks where Snow very clearly says, I took away her happiness.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Well, were those flashbacks in the fantasy world or in the modern day? Because in the modern day,
fantasy world, there were times where people asked her what the queen had against her, and that's what she would say. Now, that might have just been because the queen said it, and she may not have really understood it. But then, why the confidence?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where, like, I'm willing to overlook it and move on, but it's like, kind of thinking back on other times where she said it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense that she wouldn't pick up on that.
Unless they took place after. No, because she was she was married Prince Charming after this.
Mm-hmm.
I only have one thought on this, and it was, there was no one in the stall where it happened, the stall where it happened, the stall where it happened. That's it.
Ooh.
Sorry, that was my only thought. Yeah, no, I got nothing. I literally just had the chorus.
So Yeah, our nitpicking notwithstanding,
She
Regina
says you have to take a bite of this apple
and Snow
willingly.
knows what apple it is. She
Well,
knows.
she does explain it to her in it.
Well,
She's
she knows not to eat it. She doesn't know exactly what kind of curse it is, but she's
she's
just
like,
like,
it's gonna kill
no,
me, right?
yeah. And she's like, no, it's going to be worse. You're going to be entombed in your own body, but you have to take it willingly. Well, why the hell
Like
would I do that?
she says, like living all of your mistakes or something, reliving all your
Regret.
mistakes in your memory or something. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, you're entombed in your own body, reliving your worst nightmares and regrets.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, like, we're living in 2020, so you can't scare us.
could be worse.
Hmm.
But you don't. There were no murder hornets in her dreams.
That's true.
Man, I hit the tequila.
So, yeah, that sounds like something pretty terrible. Why would you take that willingly? And Regina very calmly explains, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to kill Charming. And Snow really quickly eats that apple. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't even a question. I'm going to eat it. She falls to the ground. The apple rolls down the hill. And let
The
me
apple-
take this pen out.
The apple turns CG and rolls down a hill because real apples in real life can't roll down hills.
Nope.
They can't. It's impossible. We cannot do it with a real apple. 50 cents at the farmer's market. We just couldn't find it in the budget.
But it's so much easier to have your CG apple go down the hill into the CG vortex of the hat
and then turn into a real apple.
One. So, yeah.
And then magically turn into a real apple again in Regina's hand.
Yeah. So that's where they got the apple from, folks. Regina
and they find her body
really, really hard about that one time she put Snow White in a coma, and that was enough power to make the hat widen up. Oh, damn it.
And that memory ripened her forbidden fruit, and she got her apple back.
Yes.
And then they find her body. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Red and Granny and Co.
And Co.
Yep.
So yeah, I think because of the outfits from the fantasy portion and Henry dying, I'm okay giving this a 4.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, it was a pretty I feel like I use this word a lot with this show, but it was a pretty inoffensive episode.
It served its purpose. It was functional.
It's set up. It sets up sufficiently for the finale with Henry eating the turnover and Snow getting not killed. Dreamlike sleep is, I think, what they say in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
But it sufficiently sets up for the next episode.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. The next episode, the finale, it ties up everything pretty nicely and sets up for the second season.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just in terms of like what happens. There's one big problem I have with it though, and I'll talk about it next time.
I barely remember what happens in the finale, which is probably for the best.
There's a really good Rumpelstiltskin quip.
I remember some bullshit from season 2 at the very start, and I think that just trumped over the finale. And I remember the finale kind of pissing me off. So that should be interesting.
There's one really, really big problem I have with the finale.
I can't wait.
Like,
I'm excited.
It's glaring. I will go off on somebody.
I'm excited. It'll be fun. And I'm really excited to see where the show goes now that Henry is dead and evil wins.
Oh, yes. Casual racism in the second season.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but before we get to the casual racism, we gotta go through the casual disappointment.
And then a casual vacancy where, the split between season 1 and season 2.
Which I'm still not saying what it is.
By a casual transphobe. A Casual Vacancy was the second. It was a book written by J.K. Rowling.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
See, we have all kinds of mildly problematic bullshit.
I'm really glad you told me that, because I was gonna say, like, I was gonna make a joke about my casual vacancy, but now I don't even want my casual vacancy to be associated with that.
You just want to leave your casual vacancy, vacant.
Mm-hmm. It's my semi-formal vacancy.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, we have one more episode of Once Upon a Time coming up, but that's not going to, I don't believe it's going to fall on June. I think that's going to be the first week of July.
Yeah.
So if you missed any episodes, now is a really good time to get caught up with all the ones that you missed, because all of our ad revenue and all of our merch is being donated, or not merch profit is being donated to Sisters PGH. Again, I will be putting a link for you if you want to check them out and donate directly to them. The merch link changed. If I didn't post it in the last one, I'll make sure that I post it here. They're a really good organization. To anybody who contributed to it, thank you so much. Pride is a really important month for me and Amanda. And I couldn't really think of a better organization to donate to, especially now where we really need to focus on all types of Black lives, and that includes queer and non-binary and trans. So thank you for supporting people who really need to have a home. Thank you for supporting boobs like us who want to talk about really shitty fairy tale adaptations.
Your underwire is appreciated.
And I'm Sam Logsdon.
I'm Amanda Pierce.
And remember, it may not be the end.
It's not the last episode of this season.
Yet. And you are welcome to that party when we come to it. Thank you.